Lovely.
Welcome to the Parapod, episode 47, with your hosts, myself, Mark, and
Owen, what's up?
Owen's here as well.
For
47.
a change.
Fun fact about number 47 is the year in the 19th century when the highest number of deaths took place during the Irish famine. So this week we're talking about Tokyo Story, our recommended film of the week by Yoshijiro Ozu. Yeah, something like that.
One of the most influential films of all time.
Yeah, voted the greatest film of all time by
Sight and Sound, 2012.
Yeah, 2012. So we'll see how that marks up later on.
You know, I was looking at the Sight and Sound lists because they do one every 10 years. So we're due one this year, and we'll see what's gonna. I'm telling you, Parasite might be on that list, or some
Parasite number 1,
or like some like Korean film will probably be up on the list more now. I don't know. But,
yeah.
The years ago when they were doing it, for some reason, I don't know why, but you could vote for like 2 films, or they did it 1 year or whatever, and Godfather 1 and 2 both came up like in the same slot, and it was like number 2 or something, or maybe it could have been number 1, and then the year afterwards they changed the rule where it could only be 1 film. But like, why the fuck was that?
Yeah, why was that rule in the first place?
Because I assume what it is that they just give you a list and they tell you to like write down like 10 films to all these directors, and then because each one is like how many times they're mentioned. It's not really a voting thing, it's how many times that they're mentioned
In like what?
in their like a survey that they send out to a bunch of directors or whatever.
So they don't give a list to the directors, they just go, what's your favourite film? The directors list it off.
Yeah, they
and
list
then
off
they aggregate.
what their 10 favorite films or whatever. And
So
so like that's why when you look at the list, like you can see like Tokyo Story 140 mentions, and that's number 1, and then number 2 is like I think number 2 has been Citizen Kane. I'm pretty sure was number 1 for like the first 60 years or something that they were doing it.
60 years.
I'm pretty sure that, or like for the first 40 years. They've been doing it since like the 60s.
Yeah. Well, see,
Could be the 50s though.
Wouldn't it then be like just like the most popular films? Like how many people would have actually put Tokyo Story as number 1, as the best film ever, or as their favorite film? You know.
Well, it was only because it came because in the 70s, in 72, Tokyo Story got a re-release in America. It was shown at some festival or something, and that's where people in America saw it for the first time. They're all raving about it. So then it got more popular because that's what you can see in 60s. It's not in the 50s and 60s. It's not mentioned. In the 70s, it's near the bottom. In the 80s, then it's way up.
Yeah. Scorsese had something to do with it, didn't he?
I think so. Yeah.
He's always in there somewhere.
He always is. Yeah. He's just one of those figures.
Always meddling.
But like, I wonder what like. So if I'm gonna look at the list again. Because it's interesting, because like there's a bunch of films that like there's lots of films that I've never heard of as well on the list.
Yeah, I'd say so.
They were big like ages ago, but they also do one for best directors as well, I think. And they also greatest directors of all time and greatest films and greatest documentaries. Right, who do you think number 1 is?
Greatest film
For greatest director.
Greatest director.
Yeah, it was only done the 1 year.
Kubrick.
No.
Kurosawa or something. One of those.
Kurosawa is number 5 and number 3. So there's a director's one and a critic's one. They only did it the one time, 2002.
Yeah, I don't know. What's number 1?
Orson Welles on both lists.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
That
the first critics, or the first Sight and Sound one was 1952. Bicycle Thieves for the critics one. Okay, I think it's only critics. Citizen Kane. That's 40 years now of it being on top. Citizen Kane in 2002. 2012, Vertigo, out of nowhere. It just becomes...
Yeah, that had a real rehabilitation.
And then Citizen Kane, 1992, for a different one. Okay, yeah. 2012 then was directors voting. 2001 is the second one. Citizen Kane... Oh, no, hold on, right. It's actually a tied place. So number 1 is Tokyo Story. Number 2 is 2001 and Citizen Kane. And then it just drops down to number 4, or for 8.5, Taxi Driver, Apocalypse Now, The Godfather, Vertigo, Mirror, and Bicycle Thieves.
What's Mirror? Is that the Tarkovsky thing?
Yeah, it's a Tarkovsky. And it's the shortest Tarkovsky one. It's only 90 minutes.
Our recommended film of next week.
Yeah. But I'm up for that because we're in a sad and slow stage at the moment with this week's.
Sad and slow.
That's the name of the episode, Sad and Slow.
Sad and slow. Yeah, very slow, yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Well, we'll go with that anyway. That's the theme.
That's the theme.
The theme this week.
Gotta chill out for a bit, you know.
Yeah,
Bad things are happening in England at the moment, so you gotta take a breather.
Gotta
for a
take
while.
a breather. Yeah. Take a breather for the brothers, you know. But yeah, England aren't doing well.
No.
They're not doing well over there. Very sad scenes, but
Yeah.
also hilarious scenes. I was watching it, or I started watching it. Like I came home from work, or did I? No, it was fucking Sunday. I came home, sat down. I was like, I'm gonna watch this. I haven't really sat down and watched many games over the Euros, but I was like, I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna like have a can, you know, have some food, sit down and watch this. Within what was it, 4 minutes?
Yeah, I think it's
England
4 minutes
scored.
in. Yeah.
Like Luke Shaw scored the biggest sack of shite in that entire squad, like in the entire tournament. Like the guy's a meme player. He's shy.
Mhm.
He's a terrible player. Like, you know, but he's a complete fraud. But he's been good all tournament, I think, based on what I've heard. And he scores within inside 5 minutes. I was
Yeah.
like, fuck this. I watched up till about half an hour, and Italy were having no luck. You know, they weren't even getting close really. They were kind of getting back into it, but it looked like one of those things where I'd watch the entire game and it just kind of fizzle out and it go in the exact opposite direction that I wanted it to. So I was like, I'm jinxing this. I need to go take a break. And so I went upstairs and I just didn't watch the rest of the game. But I had my window open and I got to an hour in. It was like about an hour later.
Yeah, I think they scored like the 7th minute or the 60th minute. So
Yeah. And I had the window open. I just heard a massive cheer from outside, like not from my house, just like from around the neighborhood. Like everyone was cheering, and it was great to see like a community spirit. You know, everyone out watching the game, cheering against England. Yeah. People were having like parties on the road and stuff. But yeah, thank God they equalised, and then eventually the old penalties. I was shitting my pants at the penalties though, because you know England breaking that duck, like they're so bad at penalties. It's hilarious. You know, I've seen like a record of their tournaments like since records began, like back in like 1934, the first World Cup, or 1930. Something like the past 7 tournaments when they've gone out has been via penalties. Like and they've lost all of them. Like they're on a massive losing streak, and it's fucking hilarious. But I was just thinking, this is gonna be the time at Wembley, full crowd, you know, easiest run up. Like it was made for them to win this. This was their time. Like everything was like coming together for England to finally win something. Even all the politicians like trying to jumping on the back of it. Boris Johnson, like that kind of plays fucking, you know, polo and croquet and stuff like that. And he's like, "Oh, come on, England! Come on, England! I want to appeal to the working class." It's like, you know, it was disgusting scenes. I was just like, it's gonna happen. But thankfully, Italy pulled it out of the bag and saved Western civilization. They saved the world. The entire world was cheering for Italy during that penalty shootout. And it just goes to show how entitled and how disgusting England fans are, that they just completely threw the fucking bottle out of the pram. Yeah, as soon as things went against their way, like they've had everything going their way for months on end, and then all of a sudden things go slightly wrong, where like a kid, like a child makes
fella's 3 years younger than us.
Yeah, the guy's he's
3 years younger than me. He's 4 years younger than you.
Yeah. Don't say that. That's terrible.
He's younger than he's younger than my sister.
Yeah, the guy he's only been able to drink for like less than a year.
Yeah,
you know, like that's how young he is, and he makes a mistake, and they all just pile on top of them. It's just like, but these aren't people. These are scum of the earth. All England fans.
For me, right, the hilarity of like England losing was quickly soured by the fact that I was like, oh, this is gonna get really, really racist now.
Oh, obviously, yeah. But that's the thing. It can't be salvaged. Yeah, you know. Like
England is fucked.
It's just one of those things. It's like there's a contingent there within that fan base that is just like unsalvageable. People who read the Sun, you know.
Well,
like,
fascists basically.
Fascists, yeah, basically. They're just evil people that can't be saved, and that shouldn't be saved. It's not like they had the whole thing all the way leading up. It's like, oh, it's the nation. It's like it'll be kind of like a reward for like getting through the other side of the pandemic. Nothing about Italy, which is where the pandemic started in Europe, you know, and like we're devastated all of northern Italy for years. Like,
my God, Italy.
But like there's this whole thing about like the nation's gonna like, this is like the destiny. This is what's gonna happen. This is like our just
it's our
rewards.
comeback from Brexit.
Yeah, literally. It'd be like a statement against Europe, which is fine, you know, from like a sort of, I don't know, patriotic standpoint. It's like, oh, like you want your country to do well, but the people who wanted that stuff, people like, you know, Southgate, or like a lot of people in the press, or just like random English people who just want to see their team do good.
Yeah, I would say the majority of England.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a lot, like most of them are just normal people. But like you're on the same team as some of the worst people on earth. People are just complete nothings, you know, non-entities. People who shouldn't have a voice, shouldn't be allowed to sing in that stadium. They should be. Nah, fuck it. I'm not gonna say that. But
we can cut this down.
These are just it's just horrible. But it's one of those things. It's like this. It's just a weird kind of nation, you know.
It's such a nation of like two different sides.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as like America. America's the two extremes nearly.
Yeah. I was reading a cool article a while ago about England as like a post-colonial state. There's another way. Like obviously you had the empire.
The empire fell.
Yeah, the British Empire. British Empire finished now, thanks to a lot of things.
Oh,
for over 100 years.
Sorry, that is actually a really. Sorry, I know. I already see what you're going with it. That is actually a really interesting.
Yeah.
Like analysis of a country.
Yeah, because when you think
same
about
things happen in France as well, and like all around Europe because of that reason. I imagine.
Yeah, because when you think about it, it's really obvious. But like, especially in the case of the UK, because you have all these. Because the United Kingdom is a union of different countries. Like it's acknowledged within the name of the country that these aren't the same. Like they're different nations, like sort of pinned together into one kind of little union thing. But England was the center of the British Empire, like the most powerful empire probably that ever existed, up until the US or whatever. And they had all these riches, and they had like dominion over the world. But their elites, like the elites of the British Empire, only had allegiance to the empire. You know, like the idea of the empire, which included places like India and Ireland. Not in the sense that they cared about people from there, but they cared about the
ownership.
Yeah, and the production over there. You know, like they're more about keeping things in control. It wasn't about a sort of common sense of identity or common sense of self as a nation. Like England hasn't really had anything like that. Like something to bind them together as a nation, like we have here in Ireland. You still have like pretty recently, like 1916 or like 1798, stuff like that, which is like the common points that we can all sort of like reach back to and find in common as like a sort of Irish identity. But they don't have anything really in England except for the empire. But the empire wasn't really about England. You know, it's about different things. And there's like these people who are trying to make it like, oh, we want to go back to the empire. The empire was great. The empire was all about us, when it really wasn't. And then you have other people who are just trying to get along, and they don't identify with the empire, and they don't identify with like that sort of reading of Englishness. And they're supposed to be on the same team, but they can't be because they're completely incompatible. So like, I'm thinking England needs to be invaded, or
that turn.
They literally England needs a war before or else they're gonna get split up. They're gonna get split up.
Oh god.
You know, they need some common incident. Brexit isn't enough. Brexit is too divisive. They need a common incident that they can all rally around. Otherwise, it's not a tenable nation state. Otherwise, we might as well invade, split it into like north and south. Like France can have the south, we can have the north, like the good parts and stuff like that. And then just like call it a day, because it wouldn't make a difference, because they're very, very different territories, very, very different peoples. So I don't know. It's a complicated situation though.
I thought you just meant as like it's a post-empire, not a decolonized, but a post-empire country, as in. Like,
it's post-empire, but in the sense of like it's.
But this is what you see is like them looking back at like their colonial past and being like, we still have that,
trying to reclaim that. But the thing is, England and the UK itself is not the British Empire. Like they're completely different things. Which is like obviously they carry on the legacy from all those things, and they benefit greatly from what the empire, you know, sort of plundered from the world. But they are different things in like a technical sense, and like in sense of identity, and like how you'd see yourself as a nation. So like that's something that they have to overcome, which I don't think they will. I think they're fucked.
So I'm thinking we should invade.
I think we should invade.
That was so fucking funny.
To save England, I think it needs to be invaded. You know, even if we lose, they'll have something to rally around, and maybe they'll go in a decent direction.
Who knows? Maybe they get a good football team out of it.
Yeah. That's the thing.
At the very least.
Yeah, I saw some tweet. It was like, some American going, England has a football team. That's like Kansas having a football team. You know, like why isn't there a UK football team? Like they don't even consider their own, like, you know, their own brothers and sisters within the nation as actual, like, you know, brothers and sisters. They're different peoples.
Yeah.
But they still maintain this sort of like this illusion of being within one union, you know, and especially all the fucking Little Englanders with their fucking.
It's just unionism, isn't it?
Yeah, but union, like all these people who are all about England, they only care about England, but then they're like, oh, Scottish independence, fuck that. Irish independence, fuck that.
Well, that's because they're unionists.
Yeah, but like it's completely
Yeah.
contradictory standpoints.
Yeah,
know?
yeah, I know what you mean.
It's more like they're trying to adopt that sort of like imperialist, all British Empire attitude of like this is ours, but that doesn't work anymore because all those claims have been renounced by the British ruling class for like 20 years, or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. There's a lot of contradictions right there.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's a weird one. I mean,
Football.
empires will all eventually fall at some stage, you know.
Yeah, Ozymandias, bro.
You know, American Empire almost fell in like the 1920s, wasn't it?
Did it?
Which is around the time where Days of Heaven is set.
Oh, yeah, around then.
Yeah, around then.
Yeah, Days of Heaven, 1978.
I decided we were done with the political discussion. We'll get on to the films because we're 15 minutes into this.
Oh, yeah. Days of Heaven,
Okay.
Terrence Malick, 1978. An interesting year.
It is.
Interesting time.
Yeah, well, both. Like the post the Depression era America.
It's like pre-World War One, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, I can't remember. It's like, I think it's
Very old.
1917 or something like that.
Yeah.
Those tractors were mad.
Yeah, apparently they're like period accurate as well. Like those are real.
I was assuming it had to be. It's like, there's no
Mm.
way they could have made like this fucking
Yeah.
this thing in this super realist film.
It's way too legit. Yeah, Days of Heaven. It's a crazy film. It's not really about anything, which is maybe the best part, because it's just probably the most beautiful film ever filmed.
It's certainly up there. Jesus,
it's up there.
it
I would
is
say
gorgeous.
it is. For me, it's my favorite film aesthetically. You know, it's like the real Instagram worthy film.
Pure Americana.
Pure Americana. You know, golden hour for days. All like the entire film was filmed during the first hour. Was it before sunrise and the first hour after sunset?
Mhm.
I think, or before.
I think
one
they
of
were.
them.
I think they only shot like 20 minutes a day or something like that in total.
Yeah. Which is obviously pretty intense, you know. And they must have to like really get it right.
Yeah.
Because it's like, man, we only got 20 minutes left. We have to call it a day. Like, we have to wait
Mhm.
till another 12 hours. Yeah, so it's about was it Bill and Abby
I can't remember the
and
characters' names.
their husband and wife.
Are they husband and wife, or are they boyfriend and girlfriend?
No, the husband and wife, because he's married to her, but then she marries your man.
Oh right.
Or
Why did he
something like that.
I don't understand why. Because I thought the reason that they didn't want to talk, or they didn't say why they were together, was because they were boyfriend and girlfriend. I was like, oh, that's gonna be looked down upon if they're moving out. But if they're married, then I don't understand. He's like, oh, I didn't want people talking.
No, it's because it's Bill and Abby, and they're on the run.
Mm.
Remember? So
Yeah,
the whole
but-
thing is they're trying to find this guy, and like I don't know, it's like an identity thing. It's like, oh yeah, he's traveling with your one, but
Oh, yeah.
if she's his sister, that makes it different or
Yeah.
something like that. Because it's Bill and Abby, and they're traveling with Bill's sister, I think, the
Mhm.
little girl. And they're on the run because Bill killed his boss
His
in work.
foreman, yeah.
Yeah, his foreman. Yeah, he's in the foundry working away, slaving away over hot stoves, throwing I don't know coal or something into like a
Mhm.
little furnace thing. And his boss is like, he's like, oh, you're too slow or something like
Mm.
that. And he's like, shut the fuck up. And he ran over and like, I think he just boxed him. He fell over and
He hits
died.
him with the shovel, but the
Oh yeah,
handle end of the shovel.
yeah. And he kills his boss and he runs off. And so they're on the run, and they're basically doing like a cross country kind of thing.
Mm.
And they end up in the Panhandle in Texas. Just as like they're kind of migrant workers, which is a big thing at the time, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
It's crazy that you could do that back then.
yeah, just
Hop
run
on
away.
a train and just float, and you don't need anything else.
Yeah, and like you just adopt totally new identities,
Yeah.
and no one would ever know. You know, pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Very romantic, but also obviously horrible conditions.
Horrible way to live.
Yeah, horrible way to live at the time. You know, they didn't have a good time back then. But yeah, they hop onto some truck, and they're off at like a wheat farm.
Mm.
And the owner of the farm is like, he's like ailing, he's sick,
Mm-hmm.
but he lives in this massive, like, beautiful farmhouse kind of thing. There's this manor, like, on the hill. It's like that
Just by itself.
just by itself. It's like that painting. I can't remember the name of the painting, but like it's the one where like the woman's sitting in like a field and like looking, like reaching up towards this like this gothic kind of manor.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a real Americana painting. I'm pretty sure like the film, or that image at least in the film, was based on that painting.
Yeah.
Because the film, most of the film looks like something like
Looks
a
like
painting.
a storybook.
Yeah, it looks like a moving painting. Like the cinematography is just like, Goes without saying.
amazing.
It's ridiculous.
I mean,
Absolutely
that's
ridiculous.
like the one thing that you always hear about Days of Heaven is
Mm.
like how beautiful it's shot, because it is stunning. Like we were talking about before, I think last week, we were talking about Nomadland and how like it's such a, like I said, like, oh, it's such a perfectly shot film, because you were talking about Days of Heaven,
Mm.
and Nomadland fucks up in like how it shoots, you know, its interview scenes, I guess, but there's no fuck up in Days of Heaven. It is like beautiful, stunning sunsets, and like beautiful use of lighting and like framing, and like that shot of towards the end where they're like locusts eventually come, and all the locusts is eating the wheat or whatever, and they're going through it at night with like candles and sticks. Oh, like just stunning.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Stunning.
Yeah. And just like the wheat like blowing in the wind
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Just random images that are just amazing, you know,
Mhm.
just like compelling. It almost like it like the imagery supersedes the story.
Oh,
'Cause
100%.
The story isn't doesn't really go anywhere, you know.
That was my kind of.
Yeah.
I didn't really like that about the film. I thought the film was gonna have way more of a story than it does actually have.
Mm.
Now, like, it does have like a story, but like it's slow getting to plot points, because
Yeah.
most of the film is just shots of scenery and just like them working for fucking ages.
Mm.
That's like one thing about the film that I didn't know about it, and then like I did find it very slow, not boring, slow.
Mm. Yeah, but it's only 90 minutes long.
Key phrasing for this episode:
Slow and sad.
slow,
but this is
slow but not boring.
slow and romantic.
Yeah.
It's a romantic film. Very romantic film. Which is kind of slow, yeah.
It's like a romantic film with a capital R and a small R.
yeah, definitely. But like I think that's like, you know, that's kind of the point, you know. It doesn't. It's also the like probably the most like sort of hookish kind of plot that like a Terrence Malick film could have. Like another way, like his new ones have like no real plot.
Oh yeah, they've no story.
And Badlands is just basically just people wandering around. Like there's no set story at all.
That's just Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah, it's really standard kind of thing. But this one you have Bill and Abby, and they're on the run, and Bill's after killing his boss, and they're on this farm, and the farm owner takes a liking to Abby. Bill and Abby are married, but Bill is like, here, I'm sick of being a farmhand. I'm sick of being poor. I'm sick of slumming it with these average Joes in the fields. Like reciprocate his affection, and it ends up that Abby and the farm owner get married, and then eventually she falls out of love in different ways, kind of with both men. But like it's like a really like it's a cool premise. And it's like it's something that you'd like pitch. You could pitch that in a writing room, like, oh yeah, that's
that can work.
Yeah, that works. But like it's not
like a rom. It could be a rom com.
It could be a rom. Yeah, it could be like you could have Matthew McConaughey, Owen Wilson, something like that. You know, fucking Jennifer Aniston in the middle. But like it's not like that. It's not like fast paced. It's not like gags or anything. It's just like it's just kind of meandering around. It's like the wheat in the field. And it's just kind of blowing this way and that. And but like the entire time, the imagery always goes way above the plot, which is the main thing I think with Malick, because it's not because he has this sort of divine or sort of like ethereal kind of attitude, or like this effect to his films, because the film itself, like the title Days of Heaven, is a quote from the Bible, and it's a reference to Eden, the Garden of Eden, which is probably why it's all shot during golden era.
Yeah,
it's like this ethereal kind of feel where it's like you don't feel like there's anything beyond.
It's
just like
it's
like a
this,
prairie,
and it's like it's a space. Like the
Yeah.
world, everything within the world is this field, or wherever they are.
Mm.
This like series of fields.
Yeah,
Because you kind of forget that there is an outside world. You forget
Yeah.
that they came here on a train. You forget everything at the start of the film, basically.
Because
it feels like you're there for so long as well.
because the start of the film takes place in like it's like fire and brimstone kind of thing. It's like in the middle in a foundry, or the founding scenes, like Cain and Abel kind of thing, where he murders his boss, and then they flee, and they're kind of in the Garden of Eden for ages, and you have all these other biblical references, like he's washing her feet at one point, and the locusts come down, when the farm owner. Yeah, when the farm owner discovers that she's been lying to him the entire time, and the fire and stuff like that. So there's like a huge like biblical element to it, which I think is his whole kind of vibe. You know, it's like basically like no one in the film has any real agency. Like
No,
they're all just kind of running around and like bouncing off each other, and no one seems to really like care about anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're all very involved in their own lives, but not like a really narcissistic way, but just like the way anyone would be.
Yeah.
Whereas the imagery itself contrasts completely against the characters because it's just a landscape, and it's like there's like close-ups of the locusts and there's close-ups of the pheasants and stuff like that. Just animals just like doing their thing.
Yeah.
And just like this massive landscape.
Or even just like machinery doing its thing.
Yeah, yeah. Like contrasted against like these little people that are just like sort of plugging away at their work. Yeah, and like they have their own little lives going on.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, none of it really, like, it doesn't really matter what's happening in these people's personal lives. They're just little specks in like the grand scheme of the universe, or like God's grand plan. You know, something like that. I think that's Malik's kind of vibe. You know, it's very, very much a I don't know, divine. I don't know how you'd describe it.
It's kind of the form of the sublime, nearly.
Yeah. Like it's like a religious or spiritual kind of sublime. You know, like he clearly has no regard for like the smaller stories.
No,
like he just does. I don't think he cares.
And there isn't, especially because there is no like, there's no B plot or anything in this film. It's just straight A plot. Like there's little detours with like the girl who's also the mom in Gummo.
Yeah.
Crazy.
She's great in this.
She's great.
Yeah, like you were saying earlier, it's like the film. Like I was listening to it, I was switching between tabs at one point, and the dialogue, I was just like, that reminds me of Chloe Savini in Gummo. Just the way they're talking. It's very like naturalistic. Like they stumble over words and stuff.
Yeah. I know. Because it really did feel like Gummo, because she starts talking at the start of the film. I didn't realize for ages though that the narration was her.
Yeah.
It took me ages to figure that out.
Yeah, the entire film is pretty much from the little girl's viewpoint.
Yeah,
like really innocent.
But it's also like she knows things that is impossible for her to know.
Yeah.
So like, there's something there might be something going on there with your talk of like a God mode of how you view the film.
Yeah,
we're hearing like a character's voice, but we're not from her perspective.
Yeah,
even though she is basically the main character.
Yeah, like technically she's the main character.
There's 4 main characters, really.
Yeah, it's more like the camera is just the main character, you know. Like I was reading the thing about transcendental cinema.
Yes,
sort of comes into Tokyo Story later, but like there's a specific line about, it was Paul Schrader did an article, a specific line he had about the French philosopher Gilles Deleuze talking about time image, which is I really do not understand very well. Like I don't know, it's really abstract, but Deleuze is making like a distinction between pre-war cinema, where you had like this obsession with sort of linear time, where it's like following the character and sort of obsessed with narrative and just the movement of objects on the screen, whereas afterwards, sort of stuff like Days of Heaven and Tokyo Story, as we'll find later, where like you have these sort of just these frames that just, it's like an omniscient kind of camera, where you have stuff like the wheat fields just sort of blowing back and forth.
Yeah, we're no longer, the characters aren't the focus.
Yeah, it's not from a character's viewpoint or anything. It's just like it's the camera seeing it.
Yeah,
it's a completely different kind of way of approaching the film.
Yeah,
it's something to do with time.
Like the camera captures what it captures.
Yeah. It's a really abstract concept, but it's just something about like montage and stuff like that. But yeah, like she says stuff that she can't possibly know. Yeah, but she does somehow, and she's just rambling on the entire time. And even at the end, she doesn't really go anywhere with her story.
No, we never find out really what happens.
They just kind of wander off down the train track.
Yeah. On to the next adventure.
Yeah.
But like, it's a pure Americana. Like it feels like a Steinbeck book. Like it feels like
Grapes of Wrath.
Grapes of Wrath. I was gonna say Wrath of Grapes. Like that's not the way it is.
Wrath of the Titans.
Wrath of the Titans. Grapes of Wrath. Like it feels like that, specifically because of the biblical elements of the film. Like, as you said earlier, like the locusts come, like plague comes and fire comes, and you have a repeat of sin, because he ends up killing the dude as well. The farmer of the estate, and then he eventually dies as well. But like, it is like it's Steinbeck in that sense, because Steinbeck has Grapes of Wrath has that flood in it, and there's so much biblical imagery throughout the film, and it's just Americana as fuck, and especially because of the landscape that it's shot in. Like it feels like you're reading a novel or something. Especially because when when they arrive into the estate at first, and then it just shows a shot of the house, and then it shows the farmer coming out. Like, I felt like I was reading lines of like describing the house, and then like seeing the rich man come out, and like, oh, who the fuck is that? It's like, oh, he's obviously the owner. It feels like a novel, and it's especially because it is slow as fuck, and there's like very little actual story.
Yeah. I didn't think it was that slow.
I thought it was. I thought I watched this with my mom and dad. My dad fell asleep through basically the whole film, and my mom fell asleep twice.
Yeah. No, it's mad. It's definitely like something you could easily fall asleep to. But I say you have great dreams, you know.
I have some great dreams watching it.
Yeah.
It's like dreamlike imagery. It's so good.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't think it was that slow, but like it is. I think it was too stimulating for it to be slow, because just like I was like, oh, all the pretty pictures, you know.
Yeah, but it's like calming pretty pictures.
Yeah.
Of like wheat fields and like people working and like cows.
Yeah.
And that sky, and it's the shot of them out on the wheat field, and they're all. It's like it's the cover as well of them like looking around or whatever, and then you just see the swarm of locusts.
Yeah,
man, that's
beautiful.
Like that's
scene.
Like chilling. That's like I actually found that scary.
Yeah,
I got
scary.
I found it scary. It was such a like oh fuck moment where like especially it depicts it like wrath of God shit coming down.
Yeah,
it's so well done. I was like, oh fuck, that is like, because imagine like being like your entire food source like disappearing, and not in terms of like, you know, like it's a potato blight or something like that. Like you can see a swarm of something coming, and you're like, there's no way of defending myself or my food. I'm fucked.
Yeah, it's over. That's what they had to deal with back in the day.
Yeah.
You know? Biblical times. You know, even back in the 1900s.
I mean, when you're living through that shit, you have to believe in God. You're just like, there's no other explanation for this.
Yeah, that's
this is just too bad of a fucking of luck for it to be a coincidence.
Yeah, surely, like, locusts. Like, yeah, there's no other way to explain that. It's like, oh yeah, they just came from. They have like migration periods where they just go around. It's like, oh, it's just part of nature. It's like, that's a load of bollocks. People are like, that's bullshit. It's God, man. You know, it's like, look at the sky. It's God. But I thought that was just like really nice.
No, I thought it was beautiful, but like scary.
Yeah. Well, man, locusts in general are just scary.
Man, they're
I'd be
plants.
like, you can have my food. I'm not gonna go near you. You know.
They're big as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they're huge.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be like, fuck that.
But there's even a shot of the locusts at the start of the film, and they're kind of like laughing at it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, foreshadowing there.
Foreshadowing the twist. But
the twist you never see coming.
This summer, Richard Gere
versus.
Yeah, no, but but you can't even. You have to. How do you kill them? There's talking about smoke. Talking about smoke in the film.
Yeah.
But think about ancient Egypt. You know, think about ancient Egypt. That's another thing as well with the film. That relates to the Bible. Like the whole story pretty much is ripped out of the Bible as well.
Yeah.
Abraham, I think it was Abraham, and his wife Sarah did the same thing pretty much in Egypt, and she got with the Pharaoh, and God was like, "This is exactly how I planned it," you know, and something else happened, and then they had the whole locust thing in like a different chapter. But it's like, you know, it's ripped out of the Bible.
Those are the DLC packs.
Yeah, that was like the Dead Sea Scroll pack. They didn't unlock that for a few centuries. But it's ripped out of the Bible, you know. Terrence Malick just got crazy spiritual vibes. What is he getting at? I'm not entirely sure.
Is it interesting? Yes.
It's interesting. It's appealing to watch. Food for the eyes.
It is food for the eyes.
Yeah. And a feast for the senses. Great sound design as well.
Great sound design.
Like the little weather vane, like running around. Like every time you see the farm owner guy, he's looking down. He's like getting cooked in front of his eyes in his own his own property
by her brother.
By her brother, yeah.
In his eyes,
she's like, "You let your brother touch you like that?" She's like, "You ever had a sister?"
Who are you the judge?
Yeah. What does that mean? What does that mean, Abby? You dog.
You dog.
You dirty bitch. But he's looking down, and the weather vane's just like running, but like it's so peaceful. The way they and like what's his name, Ennio Morricone, the guy who did Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Yep.
He did the soundtrack for this. Soundtrack is so good.
Oh shit, did he?
Yeah, the little guitars and stuff, and the little twinkling kind of thing at the start of the film.
Yeah.
Very beautiful soundtrack. iconic.
I didn't even notice the soundtrack, if I'm honest.
Are you for real?
Yeah,
It's one of the best soundtracks ever.
I was
man.
just kind of too because for some reason when I was watching it, man, the sound for the dialogue was down so low. I watched this on YouTube, like I paid for it. No subtitles, man. I needed subtitles so fucking badly. Couldn't understand a fucking word that they were saying most
Really?
of the time. Honestly,
Man, what the fuck?
I don't know what the fuck it was. I was watching on my TV and I was like, "There's something wrong with the sound." Like it was so hard to hear what they were saying.
That's shit. I watched it on like a dodgy site and it was fine.
I know, fucking joke, man. It's a joke.
That's a scam. That is a scam. That's actually terrible. No, the soundtrack is very good.
I know subtitles as well, man.
On YouTube, you're
On
paying for
YouTube,
that.
I was
You're
paying for it.
paying for that,
Man,
and they don't give you subtitles.
Sometimes when you pay for it on YouTube, there's no subtitles.
That doesn't make any
That
sense.
should be illegal.
That should be illegal.
That
Yeah.
should straight up be illegal.
You should be able to make a claim off that, like literally for a refund.
Honestly, yeah.
Like what if you're deaf?
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. What if you're deaf? Like?
That's on YouTube. Because I love watching films with subtitles.
I watch everything.
I
with
always
subtitles.
watch it with subtitles.
I watch everything.
Always.
So I can eat at the same time.
And
you know?
it pisses me off as well, right? Where like, what do you mean? So you can eat at the same time?
So I can hear. I can. You know. So I can't. It doesn't like take up my hearing or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm
sorry,
eating crisps and I can read what's going
Like
on.
that hit me like a few seconds afterwards. Like, what does that mean?
I've been munching on my crisps.
Yeah, no, I just love watching things with subtitles. It's like it pisses me off where like I watch things on my computer a lot of the time, and it's annoying because I can move the media player box out of the window of like Firefox. I use Firefox a lot, and so you can move it across. I don't know if that's the same thing on Google Chrome or not. It probably is. I have no idea. Anyway,
Hold on.
I always watch shit like that. But when you put on subtitles, unless it's like a foreign language film, and sometimes that doesn't even work, the subtitles aren't ingrained in the film. It's coming from the window. So when you pull it out, the media player, you don't get the subtitles. But the subtitles are still playing in the media box in the box.
That's a load of bollocks.
Load of bollocks. It's like these few things from like
Bad
this
design. That's
this
just
is
bad
fucking
design.
stupid. Like sometimes I can watch a foreign language film and like still do things and have it in the corner so I can just glance my eye up like watching it. But like sometimes you can't do that, and I don't understand why.
Yeah, that's a joke.
It's specific. It happens a lot with Mubi, I'm pretty sure, because Mubi doesn't. A Mubi always plays the films like in their original form, and then they add on the subtitles. So they have like a wide variety of subtitles. A lot of times you click onto a Mubi, and it's like subtitles for like 15 things.
Yeah, I saw it today.
Yeah,
I was like,
way more than like
was on
Netflix or anything like that.
first cow or whatever. It was like, it's like a whole scroll. Like,
Massive list of languages that they use.
yeah, fair play to them, but
then you click onto some titles, and they don't have any subtitles. Or I went on to, it was French movie a while ago, and I wanted to watch something, and I clicked onto it, and it was a Korean film. I can't remember what it was, but they only had French or Italian subtitles. I was like, what the fuck is this?
yeah. I was trying to watch Kaspar Hauser by Werner Herzog, like a big director, obviously in the like pretty much everywhere. And it's on, I think it was on French movie, but they know English.
Yeah,
Like, why would you
I
not
think they
have English
changed that recently.
for Kaspar Hauser?
I just in general, I'm pretty sure because I've noticed that because I'm pretty sure Tokyo Story was one of the films that I wanted to watch, and it didn't have subtitles. But when I went onto it like yesterday, it did have subtitles on. So I think they updated it. And one of the updates that I noticed was when I clicked onto Taste of Cherry, it came up with a warning about this film deals with suicide. Mubi now gives like content warnings for shit, which I think is super cool. I think that's a really nice touch.
Yeah.
And I think they updated like they just made Mubi more accessible, I feel like.
Yeah, I haven't updated the app, but
Not even the app, like on the website.
on the website, yeah.
Yeah, because I clicked onto another film and I wanted to watch it, and I didn't want to watch it, but it came up again with like, this film contains scenes of like self-harm and suicide.
Ah, yeah.
And I think that's cool. I think every platform should do it.
Fair play to movie.
Like, just give a little warning. Just a small little warning.
Just a little warning, you know?
Thank God Taste of Cherry had that warning.
Oh, is it bad?
Taste of Cherry.
Intense?
Okay, so I want to give a content warning for, because you just mentioned content warning, so I want to give a content warning for like Taste of Cherry. This film is purely about suicide. Like, that's what the film is about. So if you're not comfortable listening to that, timestamp for Tokyo Story in the description.
Yeah.
Because we're just going to share that afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you don't listen to that, don't worry about it.
Ah, yeah.
Skip ahead. But yeah, Taste of Cherry is about it starts off with this fella just driving around, and this is like in the same vein of like Days of Heaven and Tokyo Story, slow and sad, where like the camera sits beside the fella, and it's just long takes of him just driving around.
And that's it.
And he picks up people. He'll pick up a few people and he has conversations with them. And then there's like shots of his car driving around. But for the most part, that's about it. The camera is stationary for about 70% of this film.
Oh, I think I remember. I remember reading the plot summary earlier.
And so,
or not the plot, just the premise. Sorry.
He's driving around, and at the start you have no idea what he's doing. But what he wants to do is he wants to kill himself, and he wants to be buried by someone. And that's what he's going around trying to pay people to do. But they're all like, "Nah, man, I'm not fucking doing that. No way." Until he eventually finds someone that will do it. But like this film is really, really good. Really, really good. Really, really good.
Who's it by?
It's an Iranian director.
Ah.
Can't for the life of me pronounce his name. I can't pronounce his name, but this is the first film by this dude that I've seen, and it's minimalist cinema, which is the same thing that Tokyo Story does, where it's like there's so little stimulation from everything that you got to focus in on the characters. Like there's not like, and it's really well shot. Like there's a shot in the film where it's him driving around like the rest of the film, but so he stops at somewhere to talk to someone, and this person is on like the right hand side of the car, so where the camera is, and he's looking over past the camera to this person trying to talk to them, and like, but they're on the phone box or whatever. So then he does a lap and comes back around, but this time, whatever way that they move the car, whatever, this time it's like on his side of the car, even though it's one take. So so whatever way they move the car, what was behind us, behind the camera, he comes around another angle and it's in front of us, and it's all one take. It's just a nice movement of the car. Yeah. And I noticed, I was like, that was a nice shot. That was very nice. But there's loads of stuff like that in the film, and it is like really well shot, but it is just characters talking. Like that's about 90%, not even 90% of the film, like 20% of this film, or like 40-60% of the film is him like talking to people. But that other 40% is just him driving around by himself, and that's all that you're looking at.
And no dialogue, no?
And no dialogue.
So he's just like, it's like, oh, do you want to bury me or whatever?
He's just like, I have a job for you. And like, he doesn't really describe to them what it is until like he gets them close to where the grave is, and then he tells them what he wants them to do. And he picks up two people beforehand. They both say no. He picks up a young soldier and some kind of religious guy. I can't remember what his beliefs are. I can't remember the name of it, but maybe it's Islam. I'm not sure. Anyway, I think it is. It's like a form of Islam. But anyway, and that guy says no, and then eventually it cuts to him like having found the third person, and this guy's like, "Yeah, I'll do it," and then he tries to talk him out of it, and like, there's so like little going on in the film, but there's also a lot going on in the film. Like from these conversations and from the way it's shot, there's like this whole message, or like this whole idea of perspective, where like, literally nothing about the main character. I don't even think you know his name. You don't know why he wants to do what he wants to do. Like people ask him, and the camera will just hold on him, and like from his acting, you can tell when he's thinking about what they're said, or if he's just not listening to them at all.
Yeah.
And like from that, you learn about him, and then in terms of like the conversations he has with people, like you can see how like just little tidbits about I don't know, just like how he's thinking, but like never from his perspective. Like he never talks about why he wants to do what he does, like who he is. He never reveals any details to anyone, and you could just kind of have to like, you don't even infer. You can't even guess what he wants. But yeah, I literally have no idea why, and the film doesn't give you any hints at all for that. But that's kind of the point. It doesn't matter, because it's about like perspectives, and it does this massive shift in the last. Also, spoilers for this film, and like, not that this is a spoiler that will ruin the film, but like it would emphasize its other aspects in knowing this. And I didn't know that what this was until I watched the film. But so he takes he finds this guy that says, yeah, I'll do this, and he goes into the grave and he takes a lot of painkillers, and then he lies down, or sleeping pills, I can't remember. Anyway, he lies down, and then thunder comes over, and then the film just cuts to black, and you don't know what the fate of him, of like this character is, because like Taste of Cherry is a thing in the film, which I'll get onto in a second. But then
What's happening here?
this grainy footage like shows up, and you're like, what the fuck is this? And it's showing footage from a scene earlier on in the film, because like these fellas marching, and then the actor walks by, and then it's showing them recording the film. Like it shows them making the film that you've just watched, and it's like it adds to the fact that like you're reminded, oh shit, yeah, this is just a film.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's also like a shift in perspective on like how you now view the whole thing, and like that has to do with perspectives within the film, like all these different characters' perspective about, you know, the taboo in Iran at the time, which was suicide. Like it was illegal to commit suicide. I'm pretty sure in Ireland it was as well at that time.
That's just like one of those, like, you know, obviously it's not funny, but it's pretty hilarious.
It's just like, how does that work?
How is it legal
Yeah.
to commit suicide?
And then you know, you don't have his perspective on suicide. You don't have his perspective on why he wants to do what he wants to do. You just know he wants to do it, and that's like, and he's so far to the point where like there's no talking him out of this, and he's calm and he's collected about it. He's like, no, this is just what I'm going to do. Like it doesn't matter. There's no talking me out of it.
Yeah,
I'm going to do this.
yeah.
And there's an amazing like shot of like the car driving down the road, and it's one character trying to talk him out of going ahead with it, and then it's also him directing him where to go on the road. So it is literally him trying to find him a path out of this, where he's like talking to him about like trying to get him out of his situation, but also out of the place in which they are. And those, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's literally like trying to bring him down the road, and that's like a thing within the film as well, where like at one stage he like crashes, or he doesn't crash, he just goes off the road, and all these people come over and they help him back onto the road. And the character who's trying to talk him out of it is talking about all this beauty in life. It's like pure like gummo in that sense, where like it's all about the smaller things. It's all about like your relationship to people. It's about like this very, very simple things. And he talks about, that character reveals to him like, oh, I tried to kill myself before, but I had a mulberry, and that like saved me, because I remember I tasted the mulberry and I stopped for a second and I saw like the sunrise and like kids coming out to play or whatever, and it made me stop. And so he's talking about the taste of a mulberry stopping him. The main character, wants to bury himself underneath a cherry tree. So that's a way that you can read the film, is like a cherry would eventually fall on him, and he tastes it, and he stops.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
As he's being buried.
No, like he's in the hole, and he hasn't taken the sleeping pills yet, and it cuts to him in the hole with his eyes closed, like deciding, and that's it. But there's also the storm coming over, which would mean it might rain, which means it might, you know, hit the tree or something, you know?
Blow the boughs, yeah. So
there's like different ways that you can read the film. Regardless, like this is basically a perfect movie in so many different ways.
Shit. Where'd you watch this?
Movie.
Ah, of course.
Like,
the Iranians.
My first Iranian film, and I was blown away, honestly.
How did they make this in, what was it, 2000 something?
1997.
Was it?
Yeah, man.
Well,
and
like,
it deals with like, it takes like suicide in like a really like kind of nice, like not in like a nice way, but like in a non like offensive way, basically. Like it's just like, it is just what it is in the film. It's like there's no judgment on the character at all. Like the film just portrays it as it is, which is the same kind of thing as we talked about with like Gummo, and we'll get onto with like Tokyo Story, like this minimalist form of shooting things, which there's no judgment put onto the characters.
Yeah. Well, how did they make it in Iran, the Islamic Republic of Iran?
Apparently, the director, like he wasn't. I don't know why they just never realized like his international recognition, and then when they did, it was like he had gone too far to the point where like
it's like too late.
It's too late. It's like
already made it. Yeah.
He's already made it. So I don't know.
That's gas though. Yeah, that's.
But this won the Palme d'Or.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, this was a big film.
Yeah. Taste of Cherry.
Roger Ebert famously hated it.
Man, he's a wanker.
Because he didn't understand it.
He wasn't.
Like, genuinely, he just genuinely didn't understand the film.
He didn't understand it. There's a lot of films he didn't understand. You know? There's a lot of films. He was a weird guy. He was wrong about everything.
He was. Really, I hate some of his opinions.
Yeah, some of them were just like, he's like, I don't know, like not like in a bad way, but like really American, extremely American. But yeah, oh yeah, it sounds really good, but it sounds really, it's kind of sad though.
It's a down. It is a bit
It's
of a downer.
yeah.
And it's slow. Like, it's slow.
How long is it?
90 minutes.
That's grand.
Yeah.
That's grand. Yeah, 90 minutes. Yeah, but slow suicide. It's like, oh.
Yeah. You know, and it makes you think about it.
Yeah,
like, it's a film that makes you think about the topic of
don't,
suicide.
Don't do that.
You know.
But like, what made you watch it?
I just heard that it was unreal.
Oh really?
I just heard it was a really good film, and I knew nothing about it.
Yeah, fair.
And I heard it was like well shot, and it is. It's amazingly shot. But it's pure minimalism.
Pure minimalism. Yeah, sure. Iran, man, they're kind of like dark horses. They have that one. What was it? Girl Walks Alone at Midnight or something.
Yeah, I want to watch that now.
Same.
Having watched this film.
Yeah.
He has other films though. He has
Did he direct that as well?
No.
Ah.
He's dead now. I can't for the life of me think of his name.
The director?
Yeah, the director.
I have him here.
Did you look it up? I have no idea what it is.
Abbas Kiarostami.
Kiarostami.
Yeah.
But he has like a few different things. He has a film, the Croker trilogy, I think it's called. Have you ever heard that? Or Croker?
No.
It's like some trilogy. Apparently, it's amazing. It's on the Criterion Collection.
The Croker trilogy. Yeah, the Criterion. Well.
Yeah. You know it's good then, sure.
Yeah, it's got to be good. Yeah, Abbas Kiarostami. What a guy. Yeah, he's got loads of films. The Wind Will Carry Us, Through the Olive Trees, Close Up, Where's the Friend's Home. Yeah, the Iranian New Wave, part of that.
Yeah,
that movement.
which I didn't know was a thing.
Nor did I.
But that's got me interested in watching, Iranian films now, because that was my first look into Iranian films. It was like one of the best films I've ever seen.
Yeah, they haven't figured out.
Yeah, I was like, well, maybe I don't need to see any more. It's like Iran have a one and done.
Yeah.
We go for a little break-in.
Aye.
And now, on to our recommended film of the fortnight. Yasujiro Ozu's Tokyo Story. We've been hyping this up from the start.
The greatest film of all time.
Keep mentioning it. We keep talking about it. But it is. It's it's Tokyo Story. It's the story of elderly Sukeishi and his wife Tomi take the long journey from their small seaside village to their adult children in Tokyo. Their elder son Kochi, a doctor, and their daughter Shigi. I might be pronouncing these names. I'm probably butchering these names. Shigi.
Shig.
That's probably wrong. Anyway, a hairdresser. Don't have much time to spend with their aged parents, and so it falls to Noriko, the widow of their younger son who was killed in the war, to keep her in-laws company.
Yeah, that's it.
Jesus. That is it.
That's it. That's it.
That is the plot for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, this film is 2.5 hours long. Is the slowest film I've ever watched in my entire life. It is so slow, it's ridiculous.
One of the best as well.
It's very, very good though. It's very good. It's very different than anything I've seen.
Oh, miles apart.
Very different,
man.
It's a meditation in a way.
Pure. It's like I heard about how Ozu talked about minimalist cinema. That's what it was. As like Buddhist cinema. Like, this film is meant to be a meditation on Japanese life, basically. Even the title, A Tokyo Story, that's it. It's the story of a place, and the people living in it.
Yeah, story of two parents going to Tokyo and seeing what's up. And like things happen, and they're kind of neglected by their children, and the children have no respect. Except for Noriko, who isn't even their child.
Yeah,
she is the wife of a son who died during the war, I assume. They talk about the war at various points. But it's I don't know, it's like there's like a rhythm to it in the way that like it draws you in. Like I Paul Schrader is a big fan of this film.
Yeah.
Big fan of this film. Paul Schrader, who wrote Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, who directed Mishima. He was a film theorist and like in general really. He was before he even got into screenwriting. I was reading a few articles about it, just on like random websites, like BuzzFeed and like IndieWire. and like he shows up in the
The
comments.
libraries of the world.
Yeah, the Library of Alexandria of the modern day. But he shows up in the comments. Paul Schrader himself shows up in the comments, like defending his positions and stuff.
What?
Yeah. And he's like, people are like, nah, that you spelled the name wrong here, and he's like, yeah, but I tried, you know. It's so funny. It's very very strange because the guy's obviously an icon. But he released a book. I think it's just called Transcendental Cinema, in 1972, I think, which talks a lot about this film and other films. But this is a big one, like Ozu. Like obviously it's a huge film in general within the canon. But he talked about this in terms of like the way it sounded. It's kind of like intentionally boring.
Yeah.
But like it uses that as like a narrative device, or like not even a narrative device, more like an aesthetic device to like lull you into a place where you're like sort of absorbed into like how these lives actually flow, like how like the story actually plays out.
The rhythm of their lives.
The rhythm of my life.
Yeah.
Yes. Great song. But no, it's like I was saying earlier, what I was trying to say, the time image thing that Paul Schrader was using, which I don't really understand, but it's basically about how pre-war cinema is sort of obsessed with time, or sees time as like, or treats it in like a cinematic sense as like these discrete moments that are sort of like spliced together, like any kind of montage, even like something like Eisenstein, and like American montage. There's different types, but they all see time as like this, as a linear thing where you like chop it up into different ways. And like Eisenstein, for example, would have like oppositions, and the oppositions, like the two like sort of competing images, create like a synthesis of meaning. Whereas after the war, apparently, Schrader and Deleuze saw this sort of like unshackling from narrative forms, or from that kind of perception of how time works, where you have like a reinterpretation of, a reinterpretation of how like time flows in a more like naturalistic sense, as like sort of a flowing thing, as something that just expands continually. And so like Tokyo Story treats time in that kind of way, as something that just kind of flows, and it flows in a really realistic way, as you actually perceive time. And that's it's really slow because of that, but in that way it also lulls you into this space where anytime something dramatic happens, it's like extremely like heavy with meaning. It's like it's way more impactful.
Yeah, because it's like when big news happens in your life, it is big news, and it's just, you get that same kind of sense of like hearing about, you know, something bad happening. Full spoilers for this film. We're gonna have to go straight into it.
Yeah.
But like when the grandma dies, and you're just like I felt like the characters, because I felt like I'd spent years of my life with her in this like 2-hour spans, because you're with the characters for fucking ages in like the purest mundanity of their lives.
Yeah.
And it like the camera is stationary constantly. It's like looking at photos, like moving photos, kind of the opposite effect of Days of Heaven, which because of the colors, it was like a picture that someone painted, but like because this is in black and white, it feels like picking up old photos and just like seeing the photos move and looking at like the memory or some type of shit. Like, you know, like that's the kind of feeling I get with the film, because it's still cameras constantly. One of the things I learned about this film as well is that it constantly breaks the 180 rule. I now know what that is because I've seen this film break it so many times. Like the camera works in such a weird way where like we'll have like a lot of I noticed as well, a lot of the conversations is 3 people. There's a lot of like 3 people talking. So like you have the 2 grandparents talking to Noriko, and they're talking about, you know, just like their son and like how she's taking more care of them than her own kids, whatever. But like it's shot from behind Noriko, so like the 3 of them are in the shot, right? And then it'll cut in between, like a close up or like a head on of all 3 of the characters talking, and then return back to that 3-way shot, and then go back in, and like it goes in when like the conversation is getting more like heavy, and you feel more personal. You feel like the person's talking to you, and that's the sense that I got even watching like the standstill shots of like people just walking around the house or whatever. It felt like you're sitting on the floor like in the house with them as they're going about, because it doesn't feel dramatic, it doesn't feel cinematic. it feels really realistic.
Yeah, that's the thing. 'Cause like the idea of like treating time is or just like treating the story as something very like naturalistic. You feel like it'd be more I don't know, more mundane. And it is mundane, but it's also there's like this weird dream kind of quality to it, where like you feel like you're there with them, but at the same time there's like a different person in the room, and they're all kind of privy to this. We're just kind of privy to this moment between them, and even the way like it sort of shows like how revolutionary it was and how in its approach that like when it was first screened in America, and it wasn't screened in the West for like a while after it was first released. It wasn't received that well.
It got re-released even in Japan, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was thought as like too Japanese. I think. And but when it was released in the West, they misinterpreted like the sort of the film grammar, because a lot of it is shot at like kind of
ground level.
Yeah, ground level, like,
as if you're sitting there.
Yeah, as if you're in the room. Because in Japan they seem to all sit down like on their knees, on their hunkers and stuff like that, like just as like out of habit. Like this 70-year-old man getting down every few minutes on his knees. I couldn't do that right now.
Like, oh, Jesus.
I was like, oh, my knees, you know. But this guy's doing it, and he's really old. But that's just how they do it. But in the West, they're like, oh, he's trying to glorify the characters, because in nearly every shot, like their faces are in like the top half of the frame, or the top third, which in our like sort of Western language would be like a glorification
because
shot.
Citizen Kane did it that way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so this kind of like turned things in a completely different direction, like formally and like aesthetically and stuff like that, which is I don't know, it's like something that you'd know intuitively watching it, but you'd have to sort of maybe you'd have to read into it to sort of understand why. But like as you're watching it, you get that feeling.
Oh, no,
it doesn't.
I never even read that anywhere. I was just watching. I was like, I feel like I'm sitting there on the floor.
Yeah.
Because it just like it conveys it so fucking well. Even like one of the things I noticed as well was like when we're in a scene or whatever, most of the time, like you will watch the characters leave that room or whatever. The conversation is done, and the camera will just hold for a second longer, allow you to like think about the conversation that went on, or just like what the conversation means. Like even because it has this whole like stylistic thing going on, and like that's kind of the point of the film. But also, it's like the perfect like example of like which is reason 101 why we should take down capitalism. It's like, let us spend time with our elderly. Let us still like care for them, have time. Like this whole thing of like tradition and intergenerational conflict is a huge thing in Ozu, and I talked about it like briefly with Good Morning. But in this, it's like it's so ingrained into the narrative of like this like. There's many conversations of like, oh, it was a different time for us. Like we had time to care for our elderly. They have to work. Even in terms of like they're surprised where they even live. They're like, oh, we thought you would even live more center. And like, oh, there's too many people in Tokyo, and that's a problem. Like,
yeah.
Like for how their kids have done so much, like not better, but like have had a greater education and more chances to succeed than they did. But they're still like nowhere near the top of the ladder.
Yeah, there's no freedom in it. Yeah, like they're not allowed any second to breathe. But it's not as if like it's not. It's like they're trapped because they're not even looking for it really. Like that's the whole kind of conceit that the kids don't even
try and
their children don't even look around to try to like to take those moments that the camera does, where it just sort of lingers. Which you have that in like even in Days of Heaven, where the camera just kind of lingers for a bit. That's like the scene. It's like something you'd recall in a memory.
Yeah.
Where you mainly remember the scene, like the landscape, or like what you saw, what the room was like when you recall that memory, and then like the sort of the characters of the people are there as well, but like it's all kind of like a whole, you know, and it's like the whole transcendental thing and like the Zen kind of philosophy. Like nowadays, like editing and like you have like action movie editing, and you know, stuff like Mad Max. I think the average shot length in Mad Max is something like 2.3 seconds or something, which is, it's just like shot. There's no room to breathe at all. Whereas this film deliberately takes time to just kind of linger.
Just breathe.
Yeah, and leave you alone with your thoughts, or leave the film alone, or the characters alone, or just the landscape and like the set alone, just for like a few seconds, just to kind of consider what's happened or what is going to happen, or like just to chill out for a minute, you know, something like it's a very, very different kind of film to what we're used to seeing.
Oh, completely different.
Very different, yeah.
Like, this is a level of slow that I've never seen, but I didn't find it boring at all. I was so engaged in like the story that was going on, even though it's a very simple story, but because of like how it's conveyed, how it's told to you, how like it's acted, I was so involved with the characters. I felt so bad for the grandparents.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, they're so sweet.
And like it's the biggest like it is like the whole message of the film is like spend time with the elderly and like, or just breathe in a bigger like extent to that. Just like take the moments to breathe or chill out. But like I loved the grandparents so much. I thought they were so sweet. They're the perfect like cute couple. If these grandparents were alive now, they'd have a TikTok and they'd be massive.
Yeah. They'd just be too cute, like. But yeah, there's a whole thing about like sort of like it's like the Zen philosophy, or I don't know. There's like a whole different way of looking at it. Like I know, like in work, they have little tools for like mindfulness and stuff like that. And you like visualize. It's
Number
all
one is watch Tokyo Story.
yeah. It is really relaxing. But it's all like, you know, the Western kind of stuff. Like all the stuff we have now, like like wellness stuff like that. Like most of it is ripped from Eastern philosophy. Like visualize certain things, or take a moment, control your breathing. This whole idea of like sort of standing back and like observing your thoughts as they pass. Yeah, which is a huge thing in this film, because you have it's like an iconic, the final shot. It's not really a spoiler, but the final shot is just these boats passing in the bay, and it follows a scene where the granddad is talking to Noriko, and she's sort of in denial about the fact that she's lonely. She's extremely lonely because her husband is dead, and she's just kind of on her own.
But she still feels tied.
She still feels tied down to him, and the granddad is just like please forget about him, like move on with your life. Like like this is a burden on me. Just like these things will pass. Like life itself is transient. Like he's already come to terms with the death of his wife, which occurred the scene previous to that. Like he's just so at peace with it. And then the last scene is just him like looking out on the bay, and there's a ship passing by, and like the film ends. But like that's pretty much the film in like a microcosm. Yeah, like, that's what it's all about. Just like these things pass.
Yeah, literally. You know? And it's even like, oh, you're gonna be really lonely now. And he's like, yeah, I guess I will. And then he just like stares out.
They're all just like, yeah, man, you're gonna be so lonely. I was like, that's so mean. Leave him alone.
His wife just died.
Yeah, he knows. Like.
His wife just died, and his kids left on the day of the funeral.
Yeah, and robbed all his wife's clothes. Yeah. Like it's like.
His kids are assholes beyond the point. Like.
One of them is a complete cunt.
Yeah,
I think she's the wife of the doctor or something like that. But like, even the doctor.
No, the doctor's the son.
Yeah, the wife.
So are you talking about the hairdresser?
I can't remember. One of them, but
it was the hairdresser. I'm pretty sure she's the daughter.
Yeah, well, there's a few of them, but they're
even
assholes. The doctor himself. He's like, yeah, she's not going to survive the night.
Yeah,
that is all. And he gets up. It's like, man, she's your ma. What are you doing? Like. You know, there's no emotion.
He doesn't comfort them at all.
Yeah, it's like the children are emotionless in like a robotic sense, in the sense that they're very materialistic and they're tied to their careers. And even the guy who shows up at the end, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
But Kocho or something like that. But he could have got the earlier train, but he didn't, and then he missed his ma.
Yeah, he missed his mom dying.
Yeah, missed his mom dying.
But even the fact that like the line, because he's like. He like reacts in like a robotic way, where like at then the funeral he gets up and he's just like he's talking, because earlier on when he heard that his mom was sick, he came in and your mom was like, oh, you should spend more time with your parents, or like take care of them, whatever. And your man replies like, you can't take care of them when they're in the grave or something like that. Yeah. He can't spend time with them, and his like the son's reaction to that was like, yeah, you can't. They can't obey you any longer or whatever. But then when he's at the funeral, then he responds to his situation and like how he's feeling to Noriko with the line that the guy said to him.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like he's just a robot in this situation. Like he's just going through the motions, and not like a kind of like the grandfather way of like kind of like chilling out or whatever. Like kind of like observing it. Like he's calculating how he's going to respond to each emotion, and each of the kids feel like that. Yeah. But like every time that the daughter cries, it feels like it felt super scripted, as opposed to everything else in the film.
Yeah,
which
yeah,
just
yeah.
feels so naturalistic.
Yeah.
Like
Even the way Noriko is like clearly bottled up,
yeah,
but you can tell there's like, she
her
has
smile was there's something
really
off.
creepy about that. But then like it's all contrasted against the granddad, who is just like,
And the grandmother, who's
yeah.
just like
Whereas like
vibing.
they have all, they're just vibing. They have all those emotions, but they know how to deal with them because they don't bottle it up like that, and they're able to like, because it's obviously a very natural thing to have emotions and to like appreciate all these things, but they deal with them and they know how to deal with them and they've internalized them and they know how to express them in their own little way. Whereas the kids just don't understand that, and they've like sort of fallen out of touch with that, and they're all fucked up because of it, and they're gonna regret it obviously because their ma just died. Like, so it's like, talk to your parents.
Talk to your parents.
Talk to your parents.
It's
sad.
I love this film though.
It's kind of life affirming though. You know, it's sort of uplifting.
It's like we love those films though. We love all these, like Goma was like that as well. Like appreciate the smaller beauties in life. Days of Heaven was like that as well, in a sense, in a different grander kind of way. But like I love those films. So just like breathe, chill out.
Yeah,
taking the moments.
Yeah, even though it doesn't end well for them. It's kind of sardonic or something. I don't know the word for it. Melancholic.
Melancholy, yeah, pure melancholy. Such a good film though.
It is very.
It's
good,
part of a trilogy.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, early summer and late spring are the other two.
Ozu. Yeah, I got to get on this, man.
All of his films are kind of like that, or this kind of
meditative.
Sense, very meditative, minimalist.
Yeah.
Kind of Buddhist philosophy to it.
He's a pure mammy's boy as well.
You can tell.
Live with his man to the end, all the way up to the end.
He took care of the elderly.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is kind of, I guess, why he's so interested in intergenerational conflicts then in his film.
Yeah. Because, it's something that we don't discuss or talk about. But then you have, obviously Japan. I don't know what Japan's like these days, but it's a different thing, obviously, over there. But even in, like, Latin countries and stuff like that, they have a very different idea. Like, different generations will stay in the same household. Yeah, it's like a shame not to look after your elderly. Whereas here, you just kind of stick them in like an old folks home and it's grand, and you just kind of leave it. Because, it's not like a great shame. It's just like it's expected that you have
what you do.
You have to, get your numbers up. Like
you gotta work.
You have to do your 50 hours a week, or else you're useless, and there's no room for any faffing about, thinking about things, talking to people, visiting your ma. Nah, there's no time for that, You
gotta work.
Yeah, you gotta go to the office, man. You gotta fucking click some buttons, or whatever. You gotta get the later train or like the early train or whatever.
Yeah, no, but that's what I mean. Like, if it's an anti-capitalist film and all as
yeah,
well.
In the end, yeah.
Like, it's such a critique of like modern society and even like modern ways of thinking. Even
Mishima would love this film.
Mishima would hate this film.
Man, he'd be like, "Oh, this is traditional Japanese society,"
Oh, he probably would, yeah.
Because it's not like oh, we need socialism to save this. It's more like this is like they're the kind of older generation when they're kind of used to that thing. Whereas the kids are like basically subjects of America. At the end of the day, like they're in Japan after the war and they have to do all these things. They have to like work for their companies and their businesses, and keep up with the kind of hectic lifestyle in Tokyo. Whereas the parents are like, just chill out, man.
Yeah.
That's the way it's always been.
Relax.
Even
in the terms of how he talks to two of his older mates or something at one stage where he's in the bar and he's drinking.
Yeah.
And one of us just being a pure perv about it.
Yeah.
It's just pure creeping on the girl. But and they're talking about like the granddad is talking to his mate and his mate is just like, oh, this generation fucking bitch and moan basically. And then the granddad is just like pure, like fully understands his kid's situation without like they're kind of using their situation as an escape, as an excuse, as opposed to actually being the reason. But like the granddad perfectly understands why that would be a legitimate reason for them not to be able to spend time with him. Like he fully understands the predicament that his kids are in, and he's just okay with it. He's like, yeah, I got to see them. That's all that matters.
Yeah. They're just kind of at peace with it,
Pure acceptance at every step.
Yeah, old people. So sad.
Noriko was a great character.
Noriko's a little queen.
She's a queen.
That's the thing at the end. She's like, all my other children left me, but you stayed and you're still here trying to look after me, but you're not even related to me.
Yeah, you're not even a blood relative.
You're not even a blood relative. He's like, go off, forget about my son. He's dead. He's not coming back.
Please live your life.
Yeah, live your life, marry again, you know, be happy. I want you to be happy. And he just stares off and it's like, all right.
She does.
She does. Oh, I assume she does. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I assume that's what this ship passing as well onto the next adventure.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah, isn't it? It's about her, the trilogy, isn't it, Noriko?
Yeah, it's the Noriko trilogy. But the thing is as well, it's like I don't even know if they're connected, because late spring came out before Tokyo Story. I think it's the middle part in the trilogy. And it's about a character, I don't know if it's the same character, but a character called Noriko, and her dad wants her to marry so that she moves up in the world as she's meant to, like as her role as of a woman in Japanese society. Like she is meant to, like, you know, use her position to then move up in society. But she's like, oh, but I need to take care of you. And there's like that generational conflict there, where like we both have our set things to do. As a father, I'm meant to let you go out and live your life, whatever. I don't know if it is the whole like you have to move on or move up in the world. He's like, you need to get married. you need me to fuck off. You need to live your own life. But she's like, I need to take care of you as an elderly, and that's this whole conflict thing. But like her dad is played by the granddad in this.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's the same character like of Noriko. Because I don't know if like if we're meant to, if you watch the trilogy, it's like, oh, Noriko married the son of like
the
maybe war. I don't know.
Maybe.
And then this is what happened years later.
Sure, we'll find out at some point, you know.
I'll watch him eventually. I'm definitely gonna watch him.
Yeah, Ozu, man, yeah. Man, that the granddad actor is great. You know?
He's amazing.
He's very good.
Everyone in this film is, to be fair.
There's the scene, like he's so chill the entire time. And he's like, yeah, my son's dead, you know. I wish he wasn't, but he is. You know, you all got to move on. But then there's the scene where his wife is dying. I think it's his son sits him down, and his expression just changes. I think it's that thing that Paul Schrader was talking about, where like he's just at this. He like sort of like the actor himself is almost lulling you into this kind of like habit of just being with this character, and he's always like this. But then there's this one defining moment that's really, really intense, and he changes. His expression just changes really noticeably, and it just makes it way more impactful. Like it's like really meaningful.
Even like all the kids say, "We're leaving tonight," and he just sits around or whatever, and he has a smile on his face, and he goes like, "So you're all going," and it just broke me. I was like,
"No,"
because like it's, and he's still like he's still okay. Like he gets over it as well. He accepts it eventually, but in the moment, he is like I read it as like he is fucking broken.
Yeah. He'll find his peace though. You know, he's a Zen master or whatever. He's a Buddhist.
They built the different stuff.
Yeah.
They make some fucking movies though. Ozu, Jesus man.
Ozu, you mad thing.
Crazy.
Yeah, I can understand why it's a kind of a game changer in terms of direction.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Especially, man, the way it's shot. And like he uses like frames within frames.
Yeah,
you notice that like they use doors?
The doorways, yeah. Man, Japanese doors.
They're class, man.
Man, they figured doors out thousands of years before anyone else.
They have a bell, like the way that it rings every time you open the door and you close it.
Like, why don't we have that?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. It's such a waste of space to have a door swing into a room. Because then you can't put anything there. The Japanese, you just
sideways.
You just have the door go into the wall. Like why don't we have that?
But like why don't doors open when they ring here? Like you know that your family's home or whatever.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't know. Well, they could do that pretty easily though. Well, they could do a lot of things pretty easily.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. You know, they're millennia ahead of us.
Oh man, and even like there's such a like. I suppose it's because there's so many people living in Tokyo that they need to preserve as much space as possible.
No more doors.
Every cubic meter counts.
Yeah.
But like even like it just adds the cozy aesthetic of the entire film though. Just like no one slams any doors, just slide the doors across.
That's the thing, you can't slam a door in Tokyo.
Except for that little shit kid like throws a urinal or whatever the fuck he's using.
Yeah, those kids are cunts.
Oh, those little assholes. The contrast between them and the kids in Good Morning is hilarious. The kids in Good Morning, purest, sweetest little boys ever. These two, gee bags.
Key bags, yeah. Scum. Absolute scum, those kids. But yeah, I like that there's no panning or moving the camera or anything. Except for one shot, apparently. But
yeah,
like,
apparently. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, I didn't notice that either. But the camera is stationary the entire time. So it's like, it adds to that sense that like, you're just there with them.
Yeah.
But like, you're kind of like a voyeur, you know? You're just kind of like, I don't know, it's like a kind of third position, you know? You're like omnipresent in the situation. And like, you're lingering after the action and like watching the boats and stuff like that. So it's like, it's a I don't know, it kind of like activates the viewer.
Yeah.
You know? It's not like just, it's like, it's showing us everything that we need to see.
It's because you get hyper aware, because there's nothing stimulating in the shots, whatever. So you're so focused on the characters.
Yeah. You're more involved. You know, you got to work.
Although I was just thinking there that like that's kind of a thing in the film though about the kids being little, like the kids are basically little shits because they don't spend any time with their parents because the parents are constantly working. So like you can see. Like Ozu, like looking at like modern Japanese society and be like, our kids, they're gonna have a reaction to this.
Yeah.
Like he's predicting something that could possibly have happened.
Yeah, but didn't.
He didn't. Yeah, I don't think they ever had. Did they ever have like some like rebellious like the '60s or something like that? Like
they did in the '60s. Remember Mishima was against it. He was like these communist scum. Remember he was. Remember the scene where he's in the hall with the students. He's like, we want the same thing, except I want it to be fascist. And you just want it to be communist. Let's work together.
Yeah, let's do it, boys.
Yeah, let's do this. But yeah, I think they had that, but it's just like they didn't. I suppose it would have been those kids that would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he's predicting things as well. So looking at the grander scheme of things by chilling out and breathing.
Just breathe.
Just breathe, bro.
Yeah. What a film.
Slow and sad as well, though.
Slow and sad, yeah.
But this is the longest one by mile. This film is about the same length of Days of Heaven and Taste of Cherry together. Like, those two films are 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like, together.
Yeah.
Tokyo Story is 2 hours and 25 minutes, I think.
Yeah. I wouldn't even say, like, think about it more. It's like, I wouldn't even say it's that, like, if you stuck this on, if you had nothing on all day, you know, if you like lived the philosophy that this film is kind of like,
I would watch this film again.
Yeah. No, if you had like a lazy day and you had nothing planned and you had a lovely evening like this, I was just like, you know, nothing happening. You could stick this on TV and you would be zen as fuck. It would be amazing. You'd just be relaxed.
You'd be chilled.
You'd sleep like a baby, you know? And it's something you can have on and like look at other stuff.
Yeah, I was on my phone watching this and stuff like that. They chill out, like look at my phone and then glance back up at it. Because like, the story is so simple. The story is very, very simple. You don't need to read or watch it. Read every line, basically.
Yeah.
And because of how slow it is, like, it allows that like lack of concentration. It almost encourages it nearly.
Yeah. It's like just, you know, vibe along with it.
Yeah.
It's just very, very relaxing.
Go knock on the kettle. Go get some tea while you watch this.
Yeah, you literally.
You don't have to pause.
It's that kind of film.
And unless it comes to the last, like, 30 minutes.
Well, yeah, you have to watch the last bit, yeah. You know, the Mad Eye and all. But yeah, definitely a one to watch. I agree with the hype, I must say. Yeah, definitely, yeah.
I think it is that good.
It's pretty hype worthy. I don't know if it's the best film of all time, but I haven't seen all the films, so.
Yeah, but like, I mean, what's on the 2012 list? What was on the I'm gonna see if it's better than any of those. Because I think we've seen a few of those ones. I haven't seen Vertigo before.
Did you see that in school, no?
No, never saw that. Okay, Tokyo Story. It's better than Citizen Kane. It's better than Apocalypse Now, MO.
Whoa.
It's better than Bicycle Thieves.
Bicycle Thieves?
I haven't seen 2001, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's better than that.
We have to watch that, man.
We should watch that. That could be your recommendation if you want.
Nah.
I haven't seen The Godfather in a while. Haven't seen Mirror. Haven't seen Vertigo. I haven't seen 8.5. Taxi Driver though at number 5. That's a weird one.
What do you mean?
Because it's not on the list beforehand. Raging Bull is though.
Yeah, Raging Bull seems to be more higher rated. It's a bit weird.
Yeah, even in 1992 as well, the director's one, it's not there either. So just shot out of nowhere to number 5. That's weird.
Coming out of nowhere, number 5.
Just like, what's his name in the film?
What?
What's the taxi driver's name?
Travis Bickle.
Just Travis coming out of nowhere. Just
Yeah. How you getting on, Reagan?
How you getting on, lad? We go for a quick break before questions.
Oh, yeah. And if you want to ask us a question, you can get to us at @theparo_pod on Twitter, on Instagram, or you can email us at theparopod@gmail.com.
That's theparopod@gmail.com. Yeah, our first question is coming in from Aaron. And Aaron is asking us, can a film be too short?
The answer is no, I think. I think the film cannot be
no,
too
I
short.
think it could.
Well, at what point? What are we talking about? Because
like
talking about definitions of a film.
Like, if something doesn't explore themes enough, I feel like it's like, oh, you could have given this more. Or like, if a character or like a relationship or like something integral to the film fails because it wasn't given enough time, I'm just like,
well, like, don't you have films that don't have anything like that?
But that's the thing. Like, films can be too long if they don't utilize their time. Like Tokyo Story is a 2.5 hour long film where fuck all happens, and I wouldn't cut any of it.
yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, well, you know those films. I think it's Michael Snow does them, where they're like 24 hours long, but it's just like a blank screen and stuff.
It's like, get the fuck out of here. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. But like, is that a film?
No, this is fucking. That's just image porn.
Porn. It has to be stimulating to be porn, I think. But yeah, that is weird. I think. I don't know. I think. Well, like a TikTok, that's not a film, is it? You know?
Yeah, I mean, like, as in like
or a Vine.
Like,
I think. Well, what's the shortest film we've ever done on this?
80-minute long thing.
Well, no,
unless
I mean,
you're
like,
with short films.
Well, yeah, short films. Do we not include them? No.
Nimic. We talked about Nimic before.
Talk about The Fall. Remember that?
Yeah, The Fall. Yeah.
7 minutes.
But that's like the perfect length for what that is.
Yeah. And it does have some themes and stuff. Trump, man.
Yeah.
Can a film be too short? I don't know.
I just feel like if it's something where like if it's a feature length and it doesn't, it's the same thing where like it's like like you tried to do too much in too little amount of time.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah,
if
you're overreaching.
I can't think of a film like that
in too little amount of time.
Like what film like has like too grand of a scale for too short of a film it is?
Yeah, that is a good question. I actually don't know.
Yeah, I can't think of one.
Yeah,
off the top of my head, I can't.
Too grand a scale. That's the thing. Usually it's the opposite.
Yeah.
It's like, you just fucking cut the film, you know.
Yeah, cut it to bits.
Like that's the thing. That's where you should be leaning. You should be leaning into like a shorter film. 3 hours is too long. Yeah, like films that could be longer. I don't know. I don't want my films to be long.
Yeah, same.
I'd rather they're nice and short. I think the world is crying out for films that are like 60 minutes long.
Oh, they're coming.
70 minutes long. Yeah, I feel like, but like I also feel like they want to justify people sitting down and watching it. Like 80 minutes. Like films are getting longer.
Yeah.
Well,
blockbusters and stuff, they're always like 2.5 hours long.
Yeah, no need for that.
Yeah,
absolutely no need. There's no need for like Avengers 7 to be 2.5 hours long.
3 hours.
Yeah, stuff like that. There's absolutely no need. Yeah, what like if Endgame was like nearly 3 hours long. Like
it was, yeah.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan films are like nearly 3 hours long.
Yeah.
No need, no need. I don't know. Cut them down.
Yeah, make them shorter.
Make them shorter.
I want them like TikToks.
Yeah.
I want them like Vines. I want them 7 seconds and that's it.
Yeah. That's all you need really to tell a story.
Yeah, I tell you, some of those TikToks, greater stories than any story Christopher Nolan's ever told.
Yeah, that's the thing. Constraints of the medium.
Way more experimentation.
Yeah, maybe it's better if there's like a constraint. Like that whole thing, the whole Zizek joke. Where the parents like, you need to do this. Whereas if you're like, you can do whatever you want, it's like almost less free.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's sort of a a burden.
Yeah.
It's better to have like definitions and be able to like experiment within that.
It's like
It's
having
like, Dogma 95 and stuff like that.
it's like having a routine. Like within your routine, you will find freedom.
Yeah. Discipline.
Yeah.
Being disciplined about it. Yeah. So that's what you need. Discipline.
We need discipline. All this 2.5 hour long fucking bullshit.
Yeah, too long.
Too long.
Masturbatory, wankery.
That was one of the things about when I go see Into the Heights, that new musical. When I went to go see that in the cinema, I was like, this is way too long.
How long was it?
This is 2.5 hours long. Cut this down. Make
2.5.
Make this 2 hours.
There's absolutely no need. You know?
Oh no, but genuinely there was bits where I was like, I'll just cut this song. This is shite. Or I was just like, will you just get on with it? Like the film feels like it's ending for the last 40 minutes.
Yeah. There's a few films like that, but I can't remember what they are.
Into the Heights is one of them.
Yeah, but like there's also room for stuff like Deer Hunter, you know, epics.
Yeah, well, yeah, and like even like Tokyo Story, where like, it's lent this part of its message, kind of
appeal. What's the best like short film like under 90 minutes?
Texas Chainsaw.
That is a show. That's a huge show. You pretty much ended my question. I was about to look stuff up. But it's too late now.
Like Texas Chainsaw, even like under 90 minutes. I'm pretty sure Gummo is even like 97 or something.
Yeah. Toy Story.
Yeah, Toy Story. Yeah,
is under 90 minutes. Rashomon. Let's watch that.
I've heard of that. I've heard that's good.
Kurosawa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a video comparing Rashomon and Tokyo Story.
Oh, really?
In terms of like a kind of like a duality of Japanese cinema and like Japanese society in general. Like you have like the Zen kind of thing, but then Rashomon is like a kind of a universalist approach. It's more like it's not like a Western, but people criticize it as a Western because it's not it doesn't fit within the box of usual Japanese genre fare.
That sounds interesting.
So we have to watch that.
We haven't talked about any Kurosawa. I don't think I've seen a Kurosawa film.
Yeah, someone was talking about it at work. A lad beside me at work was talking about Kurosawa. I was like, man, I feel like such a pleb. I don't even know what you're talking about. Like,
yeah, I've never seen it, bro.
Yeah.
Well, we should definitely watch them. I'd be so down for that.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to see. Perfect Blue is 80 minutes.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's very good.
Yeah, a lot of films. Like, a lot of films, I'm just like, yeah, that's a good film, but, like, I don't know. SpongeBob SquarePants movie. That's my final answer. It's 87 minutes.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's a great film.
That is a great film. That is a really good film. Oh, wait, how long is Gummo? Gummo sneaking it in at 89 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Harmony. He did that on purpose.
Yeah, he did.
He did that on purpose.
Because it's like, it's under 90 minutes. Give it a break.
Yeah. What a king.
Pure sneaking it in there. Yeah, Gummo.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, just Texas Chainsaw. That's like, I mean, we talk about that endlessly, but like, Jesus, just 80 minutes.
80 minutes.
82 minutes or something.
If we ever made a film, it would be 80 minutes or under.
79 minutes.
79 minutes.
That's the goal.
That's the new benchmark.
I actually need to look up how long Texas Chainsaw. I want to know exactly how long it is.
It's 80, isn't it? I remember we were saying that.
I'm pretty sure it is 80. It's 83.
83
minutes. And like, I think we talked about those 83 minutes for an hour.
yeah, nearly longer than
like
the
we just
film,
talked about Tokyo Story for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
That's when you know a film's really good.
Yeah, when you spend more time talking about it after.
It's talked about it for fucking 4 hours.
Yeah. Jeez, yeah. Texas Chainsaw has gotten days of content.
Oh, days. Comes up all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, how was it? 47 episodes now. By 2. What was it, 4 days?
Yeah.
I was talking.
And it's come up a couple of times.
Yeah.
Within those 4 days, we've talked about it a few times.
Yeah.
Jesus, that's mental. Jesus, 4 days.
This is what they use in Guantanamo Bay. This is one of those enhanced interrogation techniques.
Just this on repeat.
They just play the parapod all the way through.
I was like, shut up, I don't care.
Yeah. I don't like Gummo.
Gummo's fucking awful. Nothing happens.
Yeah.
What's our next question?
Our next question is coming in from Paddy. And he's asking, is Smithwick's the perfect summer pint?
One of them, yeah.
I think it's a really interesting kind of question in terms of like, you have the sort of duality of the seasons where you have Guinness is like a perfect Christmas pint.
Perfect.
Creamy.
Perfect.
You know, it's black.
As soon as it
It's
gets
like-
dark,
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
you want.
It's like, it's just, I don't know what it is, but it's just made for like cold. Like, apparently it's really big in Africa.
Yeah,
but,
which is wild, 'cause I don't know,
yeah.
I drink Guinness. I forgot what I was talking about Guinness. I drink Guinness like during the summer, but it's
Different.
nothing compared to like. Remember getting the takeaway pints coming here.
Man, they're so good.
So good. Don't get them anymore though.
They're shy.
It's too hot.
They're shy. Well, they're shy as well.
They're
to be
shy
fair,
as well.
out of the tap. But yeah, but apparently the one in Africa they have is different. It's like a different kind of recipe.
Oh.
In some kind of way. But yeah, because you have the you know, at one end of the pole you have the Guinness perfect Christmas pint. You know, amazing. You know, everyone sat down, presents are opened. You have a little glass of whiskey or whatever. You
A
have
bit
your
of Baileys maybe as
a
well.
little bit of Baileys. Yeah, oh man, yeah, it's amazing. You know, but and then the opposite end, it's like it just doesn't work in the height of summer.
No.
There's something about it. I'm on the Heineken these days.
You're on the high note.
On the Heinos.
On the high note.
On the Heinemore. It's just a vitamin H there, bro. But yeah, I'm on the Heinemite because it's like fizzy. It's fizzy.
You want
and
the fizz?
it's amazing when it's cold.
Yeah.
Guinness is great when it's cold as well, but it's a different kind of thing. It's like you're full.
Yeah.
you know,
It's too filling.
it's too filling. Smithwick's, that's the balance. You know,
Yeah,
it's
it is.
creamy in a way.
If you,
It's
it's
like
like what one you
it-
want,
I think it's smooth. It's
smooth.
smooth at least, you know.
but it has that bite.
Has that little bite to it, you know, a little
Yeah.
bit of fizz in there as well. You know, it's only 3.8%.
Yeah.
So you can
Drink that
drink
all
you can
day.
drink that all day.
Yeah.
You can Smithwick Shandy all day long. You can drink that for
Mhm.
12 hours, and it's like,
I'm a fan of Smithwick's as well.
yeah, I wouldn't be a
Smithwick's
big
blonde.
yeah.
Or
Smithwick's blonde, yeah.
yeah, that's
or
nice.
Smithwick's pale ale,
The pale ale as well.
yeah, yeah. I wouldn't be
The
a big
red as well.
the red ale, yeah.
But
It's
that's
the classic.
what is the red ale? It's just a stout, isn't it though?
No, it's just a red ale.
Oh, is it okay?
Yeah,
I thought, oh yeah, sure, it's all ale.
yeah. But I wouldn't be a big Smithwick's drinker, but it's definitely it's like the perfect kind of
But it also-
synthesis.
But
You
it
know?
also works at Christmas time as well though.
That's the thing. You can drink
Yeah.
that all year round. I know a lot of old lads drink Guinness during like the winter months, and then they move on to Bulmers during the summer.
Yeah, Bulmers as well, but it's the cider.
I hate Bulmers.
I don't like cider.
I like
I'll-
Orchard Thieves.
I don't even like Orchard Thieves, man.
It's very, very sweet,
It's
but
too sweet, and I don't like.
I wouldn't go near cider.
Although I
aside
haven't had a
from
Bulmers
Orchard
in a
Thieves.
very long time.
It's rotten, man. It tastes like socks. Tastes horrible.
Yeah, man. I used to drink it when I was younger a lot,
Ah, yeah, yeah. Sure, we all did.
but I don't
Back
know.
in
For
the
me, I like me spirits.
Yeah, yeah.
I like it.
Less fattening, man.
I love a rum and coke
Yeah,
in the summer.
yeah. I used to be on the Praskies a lot at the start of lockdown.
Pratsky is also not a bad show.
Praski's great, but calories.
Yeah,
Talking
man.
about calories here, you know, stick to your Captain Morgan, stick to your vodka, stick to your whatever, you know.
Cocktails, man. It's cocktail season, you know.
Cocktail season, whiskey sour. What's happening?
Get those Cuba Libres into me, you know. The rum
Yeah.
and coke. Rum
Yeah,
and coke
yeah.
is just a gorgeous combo.
Rum and Coke. Yeah, yeah. That's what you want. You know, 2 orders at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, shots of Jaeger in between, and you're laughing. Then you got yourself an after sesh cooking.
Yeah. it's in the oven.
yeah, you stick it in the oven. It's
It's
grand, like
there for the roast.
it's ready to go.
Yeah, but then what about like spring? Do you ever drink for spring?
I don't.
And
know.
what about autumn? Autumn, I just feel like once it gets to autumn, it's like, yeah, this is Guinness better.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Autumn, I think I'd refer to Guinness because then it's just kind of rainy and stuff again,
Mm.
isn't it? You know, it was only really 2 seasons in Ireland anyway.
It really is.
You know,
Like there's like 3, but spring lasts for 2 weeks and then it's into heat.
yeah, yeah. I'd say it'd be different in like America and stuff where they have like mad snow during the winter and then like crazy heat during the summer.
Mm.
I'd say they've more like sort of violent kind of changes of drink. You know,
Mm.
well, I assume they would.
Yeah, they probably do. Like they
The
just
switching-
don't drink for the 2 months in between.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, yeah.
Because their stomachs need to readjust.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh shit. No, yeah.
yeah.
And then our last question. It's coming in from Carl. Shout out to Carl.
Shout out.
And Carl is asking us, what are our favourite films that we've talked about? Now, are we taking this in terms of like our conversation? Because I feel like that'd be a very narcissist thing to do.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like our conversation on Threads was really groundbreaking stuff.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah. Just I don't know. maybe changed our perspective on the film or something like that.
Yeah,
Like,
because
because otherwise just we were recommending or just listening to films that we recommended or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, I'd definitely go with. Are we doing top 5?
Yeah, we do.
We'll do top.
Do however many you want. Yeah, 5. Let's say 5.
Yeah, we got the list here.
Yeah.
Just what a list! My God. What a motley crew.
Yeah, I know. There's no consistency.
Yeah, I'll probably go Mishima, If, Threads, Peeping Tom, and Climax. Just to round it out, I try to.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty even in terms of distribution, but I think that's just kind of coincidental.
I want to see Altered States just because like
That was funny.
that was just like world shattering. Like I couldn't believe that film was just not what I thought it was.
Yeah.
That was like
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
That was so fucking funny. I mean, Pen Sven. Because I hadn't seen that film that time. That was mental. That film was so fucking good. I saw it shot as well. Very good film. Halloween 3 for similar reasons.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah,
That was such a fucking weird movie.
that's a great film though.
That is
Well, it's good. It's good.
Like, low key, great, but equally shit.
Yeah, it's also shit in many ways.
Yeah.
But it's
Like even-handed.
It's like the second best or the third best Halloween.
Yeah.
You know?
That I've seen.
Yeah.
I've seen 3 of them.
Yeah.
And then for another one, Nowhere. I like that film as well.
Nowhere.
Yeah.
Interesting choice.
Nowhere, because when I was watching that, I was like, this is pretty good. But then when you're describing like the whole thing of like looking towards the party, I was like, this film is class.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember the first 5 minutes, I was like, this is shite.
Yeah.
But then it like proper like picked up a pace. It like I don't know, came into its own, you know.
Same thing with Tokyo Story in a way. I don't know. I'll just say Tokyo Story for this, but I don't want to because we recommended it this week and you've heard all of our thoughts so recently.
About it for 40 minutes.
But Jesus, that film is really good,
Uh-huh.
and I can see the hype. Believe the hype.
I believe.
Oh, we'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it there. So
What's our recommended film for episode 49?
our episode. Oh fuck me. Our recommendation for episode 49 is The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. One of the longest titles I've ever heard of, anyway, in a mainstream film. 2007, I think, or 2006. Andrew Dominic, I think, is the director. Starring Brad Pitt, Casey Affleck as Robert Ford. Based on the real Jesse James story. And it's all about mythology, basically. And self-mythologization. And like sort of the victims of mythology. Very cool film. Amazingly well shot.
I've heard.
Roger Deakins did all the stuff.
Roger Deakins.
He does all the,
all the good shit.
Crazy good, He does all the fucking Dennis Villeneuve stuff now.
Yeah.
But this is like at the, I don't know, when he was like sort of becoming really well known, like sort of ascending into the elites. Very good film. Bombed on its release. Absolutely bombed. It's 2.5 hours. They wanted to make it
bombed on release.
Absolutely bombed. But it's got like a cult following now.
Yeah.
It's I think it's partly written. It's at least scored by Nick Cave.
Shit.
This is one of the films where like I think we had that question before. Like, what's the best score? This is probably my favorite score from a film.
I'll keep my ear out for this one.
Yeah, it's a very good score. So yeah, it's a good film all around. So
sweet.
Watch it.
I'm looking forward to it.
Let's do it.
That's gonna be our penultimate episode before we stop at episode 50.
Yeah. The second last Barrow Pod. Tune in.
Tune out. We'll see you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.